In the House, it is the good commish of the Department of Public Safety, the one and only Sean Tindell. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing great. Beautiful Friday, warm, muggy August day in Mississippi.
We have been blessed at the home quarters with it's been weird. Sometimes they're not, probably 15 miles. Yesterday, the only place in the state, and I'm sitting here probably about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock near lunch, and we must have gotten 2 inches of rain and probably covered 15 miles. So anytime you can do this in August, take it for the most part.
That's right.
So how you doing? Everything okay?
Doing good, just busy. A lot of things going on at the Department of Public Safety. Of course, today we've got a big day. We've got Class 66 of the Mississippi Highway Patrol trooper class graduating. And so we'll be adding 29 new state troopers to the ranks at the Mississippi Highway Patrol, and happy to have them on board.
How many did we start out with, Commish?
We started off with 45, and it got whittled down to 29 over the course of 12 weeks. And so we've really been making a push on improving our graduation rate, but I think a lot of that starts with how we screen them in the beginning, making sure we get the right candidates there.
What's the cost now to put this man or woman on the road in office or in their rolling office? Well, there was a cost that's more than people think.
There is, and I think it depends on how you look at that cost. A lot of times they talk about how expensive trooper schools are, especially when we're talking to the legislature. But when you incorporate their cars, their vehicles, their equipment, even part of their salary into it, it really inflates those costs. But for a basic and just the academy cost, it's about $7,000 a cadet. But when you start adding in the cars and again the equipment and then adding new personnel, those costs inflate, and especially I think back in the Haley years they got crafty with maybe using some federal money to help pay for trooper school. So it was about $150,000 a cadet to get through trooper school. But
what happens to your budget though when you start talking about gas $2.20 down now $5.20 or $4.20 or whatever it happens? What do you guys do?
Well, and I've met with the colonel about that and Colonel Ginn, and we've tried to come up with some strategies, cost savings. You go to maybe more stationary patrols instead of moving quite as much, and just trying to do a bunch of little things to save, for the big budget perspective.
When you say Class 66, is this 66 since the formation of the Department of the Highway Patrol, or how do you get the number 66?
Well, this will be the 66th class in the history of the Mississippi Highway Patrol. So
wow.
They kind of keep up with it. Of course, the Mississippi Highway Patrol came together with the Department of Public Safety in 1938. And since that time, we've had 65 other classes that have graduated with highway patrolmen, and this will be the 66th. This is somewhat of a historic class because it is the first class made up solely of prior certified law enforcement officers. So what we were able to do, since they already had basic certifications, is we had a shorter school than normal. It was 12 weeks instead of the normal 20 weeks. Yep. And we were able to get them through and take that prior experience and save some costs for the taxpayers of the state on getting them to be state troopers.
So most of the applicants had already gone through the academy process or training?
All of them had. All of them had in this class. So they've come from other agencies from across the state.
There was a disturbing story several days ago that I think it's some highway patrol. That Dodge is going to convert all of their Dodge Chargers to electric. I don't know how that would work. I really don't, if you're using these for police vehicles. But is that something you heard or thought about?
We think about it, but we just don't know how it really works when you're particularly you're talking about state troopers and recharging the time it takes to recharge and during catastrophic events when we don't have access to electric. Of course, I live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, so Katrina obviously had a huge impact there. But the reality is we had the entire state without power. And so, if you have electric cars and the entire state's without power, it kind of puts your first responders in a bit of a quandary when their battery goes dead.
It is an accident waiting to happen. It is sheer folly to push this on us in certain areas, and sooner or later it's going to come back to bite us. But Do we need some more officers? I'm sure the next class, the 67, is ramping up, and tell us about that.
Well, it is. We're looking at maybe doing a new class in January. One of the things that we're wanting to do is have a metro troop district. I've done a population study across the state, and in the average troop district in our state, and there's 9 of them, has about 230,000 people in it. The Troop C, which is encompasses Jackson and several other counties, has over 600,000. So I certainly think there's a demand in this area to have an additional troop district. So we're going to look at starting a class to help build it up so that we can have that metro troop district and really work the highways and interstates running around the Jackson metro areas. We had a meeting yesterday with the Mississippi Department of Transportation, and they've had lights out on Interstate 55, and they'll put the power back on, hook them back up, and then somebody will come steal the copper. And so, obviously there's a greater need for a law enforcement presence, and we're going to do our part to make sure we have more troopers out there.
We had somebody, I think Willie Simmons was on, I believe it was Willie, Commissioner Simmons, and we were talking about, somebody calls it, what about the lighting on 49 when it's completed? And then I got the information a little bit later on, and the information is that it's not up to MDOT to light that. It is actually up to the municipalities to do the lighting.
Well,
I didn't realize that.
I didn't either. I know it's been a joint problem. So we actually had the mayor involved with us, as well as Chief Davis. Willie Simmons was there, myself, and Hinds County Sheriff's Office and Board of Supervisors were present. And we were just talking about solutions where we could work together to try to get the interstate lit up again.
Well, I got to tell you, I'll tell you this honestly. You have made some tremendous changes that needed to be made, been very, very aggressive from the driver's license changes, and I know that you've got more that you want to do.
Well, I do, but, it's been an honor, and it's certainly been a privilege to represent such an important agency in our state that deals with public safety. And really, I haven't done anything great other than put a great team together. And I think about our team members, especially on the leadership side and down, that really have wanted the opportunity to push these types of visions forward. And now that we're rolling, it just kind of like a snowball. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and proud of the moves that we're making. Even with the Highway Patrol, we're looking at starting this January, doing a patrol class and making it an annual patrol class where in January every year it starts, so that we can plan on our numbers and we can grow the numbers if we need to. And so it's just, throwing those ideas out there, seeing what sticks, and having the leaders that'll push them through.
The driver's license bureau, you made some changes on that one, and I think there were some other things, the app and some other things that you wanted to complete.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the mobile app up. So in Mississippi, we have Mississippi Mobile ID. You can download the app. You can have your driver's license on your phone. It's a great backup. I get calls from people all the time. I've lost my license. I can't find it. Can you get me another one real quick? I said, well, download the app. And when you get your license back, put it on there so that you always have a backup. I always tell this story, and it is kind of funny. So we were going on live with the app on October 15th of last year, on 2021. And they wanted me to be the first person to download the app. Yeah. And it didn't work. And then they came back to me and said, it didn't work, Commissioner, because your license was expired. So, wow. So it really is a great way with the app to make sure your license doesn't get expired.
Was the media there?
They should have been, maybe like Colonel Davis.
Yes. One more segment with Sean Tindell coming up next, so hang on. We got that. Then again, Robert St. John will talk about tourism and how a state's reputation for good food is as important as casinos and beaches and events and museums. This guy should know. Coming up at 8:37. Things are not going very well in Russia, by the way, Commissioner. Russian airline pilots have been told to use their brakes less when they're landing.
Was this a Flintstone situation?
Yeah, put your foot out there and drag it for a while. But I'm serious. Instructions come as airlines cannot find spare parts to service their fleets. So Western sanctions mean Airbus and Boeing will not sell to Russian airlines. Russian airlines will have to cannibalize healthy planes, and they don't have a lot of healthy planes in the fleet. Report claims Russian economy is facing irreversible decline due to sanctions, but they're asking the pilots please don't apply the brakes as much. So if you're a grinder and you're taking a trip to Russia or somebody like to play in the WNBA, good luck. We wish you fair skies and long runways. We'll leave it at that. What are we looking at as far as your main objectives in the 2023 legislative session?
We've got a few things coming up. We've been meeting with the Department of Education and some of the education leaders in the House and in the Senate talking about the firearms for school teachers and having a certification whereby.
Yeah, let me just break here and just mention that a lot of people may not have heard this. Was it the school boards
yes.
have said that? What was the ruling that they did?
The Department of Education, the board, rescinded a policy that was instituted in the 90s because it did conflict with state statute, and those with enhanced carry concealed permits. It basically forbid anybody from being on a public school campus anywhere with a firearm, and it didn't take into account the enhanced carry permit statute. So there's been a little bit of confusion about it since they pulled that policy down, but essentially they left it up to local school districts to really determine to what extent they wanted to have that policy, who could carry, where they could carry, and so, what we want to do, particularly when it comes to teachers and maybe staff at schools, is work on some possible scenarios where we could have those teachers certified or the staff certified at a higher level so that they would essentially be marshals for the school, but they would have extensive training. And be prepared for active shooting scenarios. So, we're very, very much in the infancy of that. We're going to work with the legislative leaderships. I know they might have some hearings where we discuss some details on it and try to come up with a solution, really to make our schools safer. And
is there a particular course? Because we've got some great clients on here who are tactical and shooting ranges, and they have programs for this. And I'm not sure if a teacher should have to pay for it for themselves. It looks just like the training should be paid for by the school.
Oh, I agree 100%, and I think it's got to be something that you do annually. I don't think it's something where you can go in just once and do the training. Right. It has to be recertification. There probably needs to be some input from the school district about who can do it, and continuous monitoring. And that's really where the Department of Homeland Security, I think, for Mississippi plays a role. Is trying to organize it and put it together under a certain state standard so that the ones that want to do it, can be assured that they've been properly trained.
Commissioner Sean Tindell of the Department of Public Safety, you guys have been really heavily involved in the Capitol complex and all of that, and a lot of changes. Give me an update on what's going on.
Well, Chief Bo Lucky is just doing a great job there. We've added about 20 new Capitol police officers. He's instituted a street crimes unit that is in unmarked vehicles going around the Capital Improvement District, finding those that are committing crimes, making an arrest. We're growing that force. Our intent's to get to 150 officers. With the 20 or so that he's added, we're at about 90. So we're going to just keep growing that number.
Where are they housed? At the Capitol or where?
No, they're kind of all over. Of course, we maintain the security in all the government buildings downtown, in addition to the regular police duties that they have. But they're over at the Woolfolk Building across from the Capitol. In the future, we'll be in the old Wright Ferguson's Funeral Home building. That's being remodeled and redone, and that'll be the new Capitol Police Headquarters.
You need more officers over there, you said?
Absolutely. Our goal, and working with Governor Reeves, and he's been adamant that just keep plugging ahead, adding officers. The legislature gave us funding to get up to 115. They've given us 150 pins. So once we get up to 115, they're going to give us the additional money to get to 150.
What's the status, Commissioner, of the new complex that hopefully will be here sooner than later?
They have broken ground. We anticipate that it'll be done in 2 to 3 years. The Andrew Corps is doing the building. And it's going to be a great day for, in my mind, public safety in Mississippi. For the first time in history, you'll have all of our agencies underneath one roof working together, communicating better. And so that's going to be a really, really big thing. MBN's growing. Everybody knows about the fentanyl crisis. We got a funding for additional 36 Bureau of Narcotics agents. I've talked to the leadership there and told them move forward with getting those hires. I look at our state. You look back 20 years ago, we had 600 highway patrolmen, we had 150 MBN agents, and I can't say that we're necessarily a safer state now than we were then.
By the way, I was joking about it this week because I'm sitting there clicking and trying to find a Morgan Freeman movie, and then did see his newest movie, which is filmed in Mississippi, Coahoma County, Utica, all these things, and it was neat because I had a chance to do the radio for when he's listening to the radio. But beyond that, I haven't mentioned this. It was a scary. The movie itself was pretty darn good because it was a serious depiction of what the sex trade and what the human slavery, human trafficking is in this nation and in the South. And it was scary as hell. I mean, some of these kids were being kept in the basement, being sold. They would be taken upstairs in different rooms. They had in dog cages on the bottom with actually pit bulls outside the dog cages so they wouldn't escape.
Yeah.
I mean, so some of the reality of that was just heartening.
It really is. And I'll say NBI and the Attorney General's office have worked hand in hand with local jurisdictions to try to tackle that in our state. And while that is a fictional movie, it is a very accurate depiction of the conditions that some of these children are kept in when they're victims of human trafficking.
Didn't realize that the trucking industry played a part in that. But in this particular case, it's probably more than we know.
And look, as an industry, they've been great to work with. We've had initiatives with them where we've tried to educate the troopers. It's part of their curriculum now to help identify victims of human trafficking so that a few bad actors don't, tarnish the entire industry.
Final thoughts before we let you go, sir.
Well, just honored to be here today. I'm honored to represent the state of Mississippi and the Mississippi Department of Public Safety. Proud of Class 66, the 29 individuals that took on that challenge to become state troopers. Deserve a lot of credit for seeing it through, and they're going to be on the roads making our highway safer very soon.
Crime Lab updates?
Things are going great there. We've got a new Crime Lab director. Mary Dukes is doing a fine job, and we have a new state medical examiner's office. I anticipate that very soon we'll have 5 MEs working for the state, and that we'll have our backlog eliminated when it comes to the autopsy reports.
You got to get her on the air and do an interview because I'd like to see what her day-to-day is.
I don't know that you'd want to see it.
I was going to say, no, I wouldn't want to see it, but even depicted, she's probably not paid enough.
No, she does a great job, and I'll get her up here, and we'll get her on the air. We can talk about all the things that the ME's office does.
Have a great, great weekend. We thank you, sir. I mean, we're getting down to the end of the year. Just a reminder, those buses are back out there. Please be careful wherever you are because the kids are back in school now.
That's right. But go, take your time. There's nothing worth speeding for that'll cost you your life.
Sean, thank you, man. Appreciate it very much. Sean Tindell, Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety. Congratulations to the cadets. 29 out of 45, 46